Who does it help? Robertson coming off the ground. Who does it help? Helps Harry Kane.
Absolutely, Shay. Absolutely. That's exactly my point.
Does not help Robertson getting a broken leg as well? Maybe that's why he's done it.
Shay, I'm absolutely with you. I agree with you 100%. But I just think, in the referee's eyes, when they look at where the point of contact is, Shay, that because Robertson has lifted slightly off the ground, probably instinct, call it what you like, I think that's what's helped Harry Kane. And I think that's what's reduced that from a red card to a yellow card. I would suggest that if he hadn't have made that action, there's no doubt in my mind, Shay, that would have been a red card.
But Dermot, he's not in control. Harry Kane is not in... You can't tell me he's in control when he makes that tackle. Actually, Robertson is in control. He actually knows what he's doing. I know your point, mate, is a very good point. He goes higher. But you can't tell me that Harry Kane, when he makes that tackle, is in control of himself.
No, and as I said, Glenn, I don't think it's a good tackle at all. As I said, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it. But I think with what the referees look for, you know, point of contact, where the studs land, I feel that that's just about a yellow card. I think that's as close as you can get to it just being a yellow card. As I say, if Robertson hadn't have helped him, as I said to Shay, lifting slightly off the ground, his legs planted, that's going to be a red card, there's no doubt.
I think that if you ask any professional footballer which is the most dangerous foul out of those, it's Harry Kane's. You know, that's got.
So why wasn't it looked at by the monitor?
Well, I'm agreeing with everyone. I think absolutely they both should be. But you know, I hear what Dermot's saying. You know, he's just off the floor and all the rest of it. And of course, Glenn's is a good point as well. But in terms of if you're talking about endangering the safety of players, which we hear the referees say a lot of the time, well, if there's one that's going to get a red and one that's going to get a yellow, it's reversed in terms of endangering the safety of players. Now, I could sit here and make a case, actually, for them both being yellow, because I think they're both sort of just under a red and probably an over a yellow.
I think most
but I don't
managers
think
would
there's
have
anything
sympathy with you, to use Glenn's word, consistency then.
Yeah.
Either they're both yellows,
Absolutely.
or they're both looked at a monitor, and they're both red.
Exactly what we're saying. And let's not forget the penalty incident, because that should have been looked at as well. It has to be looked at. How that can't be looked at.
It will have been looked at.
Yeah, OK. Well, how the referee's not been asked to go to the monitor then? I mean, it has to be. You know, the referee, the VAR has got to look at that and think, oh, wow, that's a penalty, actually.
Well, we've heard through Jurgen Klopp, Paul Tierney's interpretation, he thought Jota stopped.
Yeah.
And didn't try.
OK, so it's down to the VAR to say, well, I'm not sure about that, Paul, Mr. Tierney.
But Chris Kavanagh obviously was sure.
Well, if he was, then
is that the subjective area?
I'm watching a different game.
Dermot.
Yeah, that's subject.
All decisions that are not factual, you know, offsides, is it in the penalty or outside, Steve, are subjective, and I think that's why we debate football so much.
Well, could you have understood if he'd recommended Paul Tierney having a look at this?
Definitely. I said to you at half-time, I think this is a penalty. I don't understand why you don't give a penalty there, because Jota is just about to shoot. He's 8 yards out. He's got a free shot at goal. If he stops, he's stopping to get his balance, to compose himself, to take the shot. You know, that's what footballers do. But for me, you know, if you make a challenge like that from behind, you must win the ball. The only certainty in that incident that's not debatable is he didn't win the ball.
Yeah, it's a penalty. But I think where the referee's coming from, when it happened, my instinct as a professional is Jota's waiting to be touched. He's not even thinking of shooting, and I think we knew that. We both sort of half agreed with that, Michael, didn't we? We looked at it and we went, he could have took his shot, he was about to, but he was waiting to be touched. He gets touched, it's a foul, and I think that's professional. That's a real striker, look, boom. He actually even goes a little bit, his body weight, a little bit towards getting hit.
Yeah.
He goes towards him, look, there. And he's waiting for that to happen, and it happens, and it's a penalty. Look, boom. But I think he's been very clever there as a striker.
And Dermot, Jurgen Klopp felt Paul Tierney was in an excellent position for that.
Well, you see, if you see the angle from behind, Steve, you see that he's directly in line with Jota, and what he does, he cuts the grass, as the referees term it, where he throws his arms out wide, you know, he gives it that. It's not a foul, you know, so not only has he got the perfect view, but he's made a decision based on what he's seen. This is it, this is the angle. What's the referee now? No. He couldn't have a better view, so that's why I think he'd have fed back to the VAR, this is what I've seen, and the VAR will say, well, it's not a clear and obvious error. And the thing I tried to explain at half-time is the VAR is not there to judge whether the referee's made it right or wrong. It's there as, has he made a clear and obvious error? Is it, for want of a better term, a howler? And on that, you would say no. So therefore, he's got to stick with him.
I spent 45 minutes trying to tell these chaps that, Law. I'm delighted you've backed me up. Do you get it now, Shay?
No, I'm no clear. I'll speak to you after, Dermot. I'll speak to you after.
Do you think... I know you thought the Newcastle one earlier on was a clear and obvious error. Do you think that's a clear and obvious error?
I can see why he's not given it, if I'm being honest. Jota, Glenn says, maybe waited for the challenge, but at the same time, I think it's a foul. Anywhere else in the pitch, it's a foul. So for me, sometimes the referee's got to give it as he sees it, and I think he's seen it wrong, personally. And as Dermot says, he's got the best seat in the house. He's 10 yards away. Dermot,
Finally, consistency. Can you understand managers, coaches' frustration? If I say to you, we've seen 4 games this weekend, Granit Xhaka at Ellen Road was looked at, wasn't even a yellow card. Harry Kane today wasn't looked at, yellow card. Andy Robertson got a yellow card, was looked at, red card.
Who would be a ref, Steve?
Well dodged, Dermot. Is that the end of your answer?
I think you ought to wish me a Merry Christmas.
You're always top at Christmas, Dermot. Thank you very much indeed. From a manager's point of view, when you put it like that, though, with those 3, where is the consistency?
No, that's all you're looking for. You know, listen, the game's played so quick nowadays, and referees have got real tough decisions to make, split seconds. You know, even in a perfect position, the referee was in a perfect position for that penalty, and he still said no. He thought it wasn't a penalty. But, you know, it's the consistency. They've got to use that screen more for me. I've been saying it. I think it's here. Dele Alli goes back there. We'll look at Liverpool's defending, but there's the 3 midfield players caught him straight line. They needed one of them to be pushed across. This is a wonderful pass. I think it's Robertson that just goes back a little, looks over his shoulder, he goes back and plays Harry Kane on. This is a wonderful pass because it allows Harry Kane not to touch the ball. He's hitting a ball now that's first touch, bang, and what a finish from Harry. He's been waiting and waiting week after week for that. I mean, we need half an hour to analyse this game, really. That's how exciting it's been. But that is a wonderful finish, it really is. But Ndombele's pass, the weight of the pass was absolute top-notch.
Andy Robertson just needs to stay alongside his centre-half for longer. We dotted those arrows to the full-back. He should have just given him that pass. That's the lesser of the evils. As it was, he took one stride out of place, and that allowed that ball to be slid alongside Harry Kane, and he does the rest.
And Liverpool could have easily conceded more goals in that first half.
Yeah, we said off air that, you know, Tottenham might regret this at the end of the game because they had so many chances first half. Steve, Liverpool could have been out of sight at half-time if they had took them. Again, Harry Kane, I think, sets up Son here, and it's just a little bit too much pace on the cross, I think, Steve. He's just really stretching for Son to try and get over, and it just bounces in front of him, as you see here. It's a difficult chance, but it's a good chance, 2v2 at the back.
I think that's the thing. They've been 2v2 so many times, Liverpool, prepared to put their full-backs in front, and they've left their centre-backs 2v2. Now you've got the third man running. Dele Alli approaches here. Look, it's a fabulous save. He's got to score for me.
Yeah, it's a great angle there. That is a phenomenal save.
That's a great save.
But we talked about Dele Alli before the game. Maybe he's a bit rusty. Maybe in the past with a bit of cheekiness, a bit of game time, he would have dinked that over him because Alisson's gone early there. It's a brilliant save, don't get me wrong, but maybe Dele Alli.
I mean, when it happened, I thought he's missed the target, but he didn't. Actually, he's hit the target. He's going in the corner, and it's such a save.
Less than 6 minutes later, Liverpool level. How good's Jota in the air?
Phenomenal. For someone so small, he times it well, he heads it well. Andy Townsend said in commentary, how many goals does this lad score with his head? And he's right. I mean, he doesn't do so much in terms of his movement, but he's in a nice little pocket of space. And Glenn, you noticed something about the 3 centre-halves for Tottenham as well.
Yeah, it's very unusual when you're playing 3 centre-backs. All 3 of them have had to get across because they've opened them up, Liverpool. All 3 of them there on the right side of the penalty area, and that's why no one's up against him. Normally in that area there, you've got a centre-back, or even the left side centre-back gets across, and there's no challenge on the ball, but it is a wonder. He might have got away with it, but for me, I don't know about the boys, I think we're all in agreement here, are we, chaps? That could have been red. If he gives a red, I don't think he's got any qualms.
Yeah, well, Andy's lucky he's just lifting up off the ground because it could have been very different. It's studs, it's out of control. The only saving grace is he's not high. He's still relatively low, and I think that saves him because he could have been in serious problems.
Yeah, it's a red card for me all day, and hopefully Dermot will clarify that.
It was a big call because it was only 20 minutes in to the game, that. Dermot, what do you think? With 3 reds in here?
Well, what they look for, Michael's just summed up. It's point of contact, you know, it's just above the boot, so it's low in the referee's view. I think what saved him is Robertson actually goes up here. You see Robertson leaving the ground. he catches him. I think it's not a nice challenge, but for the referee on the field, a yellow card.
But Robertson doesn't go up there and it's a broken leg, isn't it, really? If he doesn't get that right foot off the ground.
I have to agree with you there, Shay,
dangerous.
and I think that's what saved him, is the fact that Robertson is coming off the ground. I think if that leg's planted...
It should save Robertson, not Harry Kane, from getting a red card. That's my argument.
Anyway, stay there, Dermot. Michael, penalty?
Yes, I think it is. I understand why it didn't go to VAR, because you could argue that it's not, but I would favour a penalty there, personally.
Dermot, on field, what do you think?
On-field penalty, I think, up to the referee to give it. Because the referee's position, he's looking straight at it, the VAR is not going to intervene.
Yellow card for Jurgen Klopp, he clearly thought it was a penalty. So just when we spoke earlier about the Newcastle one, the VAR have had a look at that, and in their opinion, they don't think it's a clear and obvious error. Is that correct?
Absolutely, Steve.
Shay?